Okay, in this video we're going to have a wee look at the boosts that we can acquire over time as we're playing the game. Your boosts are accessed over here on the right hand side of the screen. If we click on it and go into boosts, there's various sections in the boosts. Here there's military boosts, resources, development, hero and shaman, and favourites. In the military section, you're probably used to accessing this for putting your shield on, or perhaps maybe using the boost for the marching speed, or also you may be familiar with using the one for the number of warriors on a troop when you're sending in for an attack. Some of the basic ones though we quite easily miss, and those are in the resources one. If I have a look in my boosts for resources, you can see that over a period of time you collect quite a few of these, whether you're killing Uber or perhaps Loki's chest. When you click on that, sometimes you get some additional boosts, or when the game's in maintenance mode, quite often we get some boosts from there as well, or if you've been purchasing packs as well, you quite often get some boosts in there. So if you scroll down, you can look in mine and you can see that in the resource one, these are primarily around about production, so things like the food production, the iron production, lumber, etc. So for all your resource. So because they're free in the game and I haven't had to pay for them, I always use those kind of boosts, because the food production, this one that I have running, you can see it's running for 13 weeks, and that's because I've activated them all, which means the food production in my town is increased by 100% for 13 weeks. And as I continue to get more of those, I constantly just add those to run at that time. How you choose to run your boosts is entirely up to you. I just see that these are sitting there idle, so I would prefer to use them to my advantage, so I always have food in my town. The same with the iron production. You can see here it says you have 38, and up under my food production it's not telling me I have any, so I've obviously used all of those ones. I've managed to accumulate another 38 of the iron production. So if I click on the iron production and have a look at that, you can see that there's 3 weeks worth running of iron production, which is increasing it by 100% in my town. If I scroll down, I can see that I have another 38 of those 24-hour greed iron at 100%. So if I want to apply them, if I hover over it, you can see I can either apply, which will apply one more onto the boosts that are already running, or if I select more, because I'm inherently lazy, I prefer to put them all on at one time, and I just max it out. You can see now that I've increased it from 3 weeks to 5 weeks and 3 days. That's a quick and simple way of actually increasing my iron production without having to increase my iron buildings. So if we look now and I go back, so my food is at 13 weeks and my iron production is at 8 weeks. My lumber I've got at 13 weeks and I don't have any additional free ones, so again I've increased them by 100%. If I scroll down here, I've got resource production. Now resource production increases all the production of all your resources, so it isn't just on one item. The ones above that were for lumber, food, stone, etc. This one does it for all of them, so in addition to the 100% of that resource, I'm also adding another percentage increase on to all of the resource over and above those individual ones. So if I look at the resource production one at the moment, it has 10 weeks of resource production increased by 50%. So essentially my resource throughout my town at the moment for I think we looked at food, lumber and iron, which was by 100%. By running this as well, I've increased them actually overall by 150%, and I have another 31 sitting here. So if I go in and have a quick look at this, you can see here there's 30 for 24-hour resource production to run at 50%. So if I say more, whack that over, apply, I've now got 14 weeks and 2 days. Now you'll see here that I have this one here, which is 24-hour resource production at 100%. If I was to apply that just now, it would overwrite the 50% one, so I would lose the 14 weeks. And for me, 1 day at 100% is just not worth it when I've got 14 weeks at 50%. If I was really, really desperate and I didn't have any other boosts, I would run that. But always bear in mind that a higher or a lower one will overwrite the current one that you're running. But if you add another boost that's the same value that you're already running, it will add it cumulatively. So if I come out, you can press the return. So we've got, for no effort at all, I've got another 13 weeks, 100% food, 8 weeks and 3 days of iron production, 13 weeks of 100% lumber production, 14 weeks of an additional 50% all overall on my resource production. My silver production, I have 4 weeks and at 100%, and I've got 53 sitting here. So we're going to add them on. You can see 4 of those are at the 50%. If I was to apply those just now, it will rule out those 4 weeks at 2 days. It will reset it back to essentially 4 days at 50%, which is just not worth it for me. But I have 49 at 100%, and it's running at 100%, so I'm going to add those other 49. So that gives me another 49 days onto my 4 weeks and 2 days. So let's add them. Boom! 11 weeks, 2 days. So that's me extra silver production. Let's scroll down. Resource, silver, and stone. We always need stone. So here we go. 5 weeks and 2 days, and I've got another 50 sitting here. So let's go and have a look. Again, don't make the mistake of choosing the one that's a different value. I'm going to choose this one. It's 100%. It's another 50 of 24 hours. So click more. See how many extra weeks that's going to give me. My brain's not that fast. Ooh, 7 weeks. 12 weeks, 3 days now. And let's scroll down. On top of that, you've got troop upkeep. So if we have a look at that, your army's food consumption decreased by 75%, and I've got 4 days and 5 hours on this. Now, this is where it's going to vary depending on how many farms, etc. you have. Some people that have only perhaps got one farm, high volume of troops, your town is never going to be able to produce enough food for your troops. But the thing to notice, and it's really important, you don't need food for your troops. They're not going to wither and die. They're not going to be weaker. They perform as usual. The only thing you're going to struggle with if your food is in red is that when you are looking to upgrade your buildings or knowledge, etc., any of your sort of development features, you're going to need food to do those. Now, when you ask the clan for food, ask for it when you need it, because if you ask for it too early and you're running in red, you literally only have a few minutes to be able to apply that food that people are sending you to your function that you're wanting to do, so your knowledge upgrade or your building upgrade, because your troops are hungry mofos and they're going to eat all that food. So remember, don't ask for it the day before, because when you go to use it, you're going to be back at 0 again because your troops have eaten it all. But some people like myself, because I think I have 4 farms, I think I have 4 of each resource. I don't do hyper farming in this account, and hyper farming is a whole different ball game, so we'll not talk about that just now. But I have 4, I think, of each resource. So I'm lucky I'm able to, I invest every week, and I think Chief does the same. It was him that told me this. Every week I spend 80,000 gold, and the reason for that is that my food, which you see up here, 37.8 million, is never in the red, because I invest in this, and it means that my food is always growing. And the reason it's important to me for that is A, I don't like it being in the red, but B, it means that I always have food because I always have sun upgrade or knowledge being run at the one time. So I like to be able to have food right away so that I can apply that. But if you've only got one farm and a high volume of troops, this 7-day great economy at 75% isn't going to work for you. If you don't have the 80,000 and you feel that's too big an investment, you would rather spend your 80,000 on something else, that's absolutely fine. You can see here I have a lot of these boosts, 24-hour moderate economy, 25%, and there's 223 of those, so that's given me 223 days of a reduced warrior consumption on food. That's not sufficient enough for me based on the volume of troops I have, but play around with it, see what you like. The 7-day great economy, 75%, works a treat for me. I think Lady use it. I know Chief definitely does, and I think there's a few others. I think Maverick tried it, and I think because he only has one farm and a higher volume of troops, it didn't actually bring him out of the red at all. It really you just have to play around with it a wee bit, but that's what the troop upkeep bonus is for, and you should be using your bonuses and getting the maximum out of your account. Resource yielding, this one's really, really important. Again, that's in the resource section. When you're going to farm, if you are farming, I don't do it very often, but when I do, I like to make sure that I get maximum value out of it. So when you start yielding, or you send your troops before you send them, and it's really important because you can't put this boost on once your troops are already on the tile. Before you send your troops, choose one of these, especially if they're sitting here and you've got them sitting there. You know, who doesn't want an extra 50% speed up on your resource yield? There's a 3-hour one here that I have. I've got 1 hour resource yield and speed up at 75%. Now, like I said in the previous ones, if you're using the same value, so if I put some troops on a tile during Kingdom Peace and I knew it was going to be 3 hours for me to yield that, if I have 1 hour resource yield and speed up at 75% and I've got 2 of those, and I can cumulatively apply both of them. So it means essentially I'll have a 2-hour resource yield and speed up at 75%, and the last hour there would be no additional yield and speed up. But that's it's up to you. Or you could put the full 3-hour resource yield speed up at 50% on. But you have to apply these boosts before you yield, so you might as well get, again, maximum value out of it. That's the resource section. The development section is equally as important. So here, as you play the game, you will see that when we win different events, we get different town skins. If you have a look at these, that's the top one in here, each town skin gives you different bonuses for a certain period of time. Okay, if I scroll down here, you can see here the Warrior Fortress, 24 hours, gives you 2% on most things, a 5% increase on marching speed, some extra units for your hero and your shaman, and a 5% boost in resource production. I think the best one is the one that we get if we win the CVC. I think it's the Kingdom Battle. I think it's the Bastion of the Beast. As you see here, these are all sort of 2%, Home of Vizier. Scroll down. The Dragon Citadel is a good one. That's the sort of orange one with, it looks like wee wings on the back of it, and they're like 5%, 5%. You're getting an extra 5% boost in your warrior training, your construction, your learning speed, which is awesome. But the Bastion of the Beast is the one that I've got running at the moment. I don't think it's going to show me. Oh, I can click on this wee bit here, it'll show me. Look at that. Construction, learning and warrior, 10%. So if you've got these skins just sitting in your account and you're not using them, you're not getting maximum value out of your boost. That's what we mean by make sure you're applying your boost all the time. I mean, look at that, hero energy, getting an extra 1,000 points. And if you've been in the event, you have these sitting there, so you should be putting those on and making sure you select the right one, and you're getting the most out of your boost. Let me go back. Every time I run a new building, do an upgrade in the building, or I do a knowledge upgrade, I make sure that I put a boost on before I do it. Not only do I make sure that I have the right hero set on, and obviously there's been a video for the hero set, so you can have a look at that. I also make sure I have the right shaman on, but on top of that, I also make sure that I run a boost. I will never run an upgrade or train warriors or do any knowledge without one of these upgrades being on, one of these boosts. let's look at the building speed one. I've got 207 sitting here in my back pocket. We get a lot of them when we hit benchmarks within the events. You'll get like a 10-minute building speed up or 35%. Depending on how you plan to do your upgrades, depends on which one you're going to pick out of these. Typically, because I change my hero set, I'll do maybe 3 or 4 things at the one time, and then I'll change my hero set back to go and do another job, and then leave these boosts running and my jobs running. So I would change my hero set. I would put my 10-minute building speed up at 35% because it's unlikely I'm going to be doing more building in 10 minutes. I normally hit 1 and leave it running. So I would apply this building up at 35%, and then I would go and select the building that I wanted to upgrade. And what you should do is you should look at the difference. So let's click on the farm. And the moment it's saying by default it's 4 weeks and 2 days for me to upgrade this farm from level 22 to level 23. So it cost me 2 million across the board, 4 weeks, 2 days. Now watch what happens when I change my hero set. First of all, I'll show you. I'm going to change my shaman to Inga. Now, I should really, for building, you should be using Bag of the Big, but I've only just started to develop him, so we'll look at the difference between the two shamans in a minute. But let me choose Inga, because I normally default to Inga. And then I'm going to change my hero set. So my hero set at the moment is currently in defense mode. This is my defense hero set. Let me change my hero set to my development one. Activate it. I don't have any of the hero set activations, so I have to pay 2,000. So I might as well get some jobs running here. So now I can close that. So I've got Inga and my development hero set on. So let's now go and look and see where it's saying to me. Now it's dropped down to 1 week and 2 days. Now that is significant. And not only that, but I've said 0.2 million across the board on each resource that was required here, because it was 2 million. Right, so now, again, because I'm greedy and I want to make sure that I'm maximising everything, I'm going to go into my development, building speed, and I'm going to get more value out of this. I'm going to choose the 10-minute building speed up for 35%, apply that. So I've got 9 minutes now, let's go. I'm going to start this job. Let's see where it's current down to now. Boom! 5 days, 21 hours. So I'm going to upgrade that. Make sure you ask for the help. The help puts it out to everybody in the clan, and then all the clan, when they see those jobs, they hit on them to help you, and it reduces the time down as well. You can choose the boost at this point if you want and apply some of your 1 hour boosts, etc. I'm going to leave this one running just now. There we go. Now you will have noticed, if I look at the development section again in my boosts, I have these two: hire a prophet, hire a second craftsman. If I wanted to hire a second craftsman, I still have my 10-minute boost running, and you can see that over here just vaguely in the it's saying 8 minutes and 55 seconds. I'm going to hire a second craftsman just to show you, and I get that for 24 hours, so there's the timer for that. And now I'm just going to run and upgrade another thing. Let's have a look. There's a lumber 22, so let's do him. 1 week. I'm going to upgrade that. Click the help. And now I've got 2 running. So that's what your hire the second craftsman is. So while I have my development hero set on, I typically at the same time then go and do my knowledge as well. So let's have a look. Let's go into my knowledge, see what knowledge I've got sitting, waiting to run. Okay, so the equipment crafting speed one right at the top, 12.6, I'll already be getting my reductions from my hero set because I'm in my development set, and also because Inga is the knowledge one, and I have all my points based around the knowledge and building on her. So before I start that, whilst it's tempting at 3 weeks and 4 days, I am going to go and set a boost. And then I click on my boost, into my development, and scroll down. So here, knowledge upgrade speed. I have 181 of these, so let's have a look and see what the best one is for me at the moment. So again, we've got 1 hour knowledge upgrade speed at 10%, 164. I'm way too greedy. I want this one. 10-minute knowledge upgrade speed, 35%. I've got 13 of those. So I'm going to hit apply. I'm going to come out of that. I'm going to zip over here. Equipment crafting speed. Look at the difference. Now that's down to 2 weeks 1 day, so I'm going to take that for the win. Upgrade. And I'm going to click help. I'm just hoping my trusty clan is going to help me out here. Now, while I'm in here, if I wanted to, I could say, I'm going to have a look, I want to do another one. So it's going to say, okay, if I try to do it, it's going to come up and say, because I have a second profit there, it would say to me, do you want to hire the second profit? And I can use that boost as well. I don't want to do that just now, so I'm not going to leave it running there, but essentially that is what the second profit is for in the boost. And again, those are either things I've picked up along the way, or I've managed to procure them in packs that I've bought over the time. So you can see now what I've got running. All your running ones will be at the top. Building speed, second craftsman, and the knowledge upgrade, which we just put on. The town skin is running, and these ones are free because I haven't done anything yet. The higher profit and the warrior training speed. Now again, I never ever train troops without making sure that I have my right hero on, my right shaman, and I run a boost because it's so expensive for us to build troops. So let's have a look here. Now training. Let's look at the difference here. Now at the moment I'm currently working on my T3 wall. Chief has suggested that we should be looking at a T3 wall of 10 million, which sounds a lot, but actually that's going to allow you to be able to take a couple of hits from a 20 billion player, I think Chief has said. Let me have a look. I'm going to press train. I always, as long as I make sure that I've got my right hero on, I'm at the point I can train 30,000 at a time. If I'm in the wrong hero set, that drops down for me. It can be like 19,000. So for 30,000 troops at the moment, and T3, it's costing me 1 week and 1 day. Let's look and see where it's going to cost me once I put my boost on. You're going to see a big difference here. Development. Apply the 10 minutes at 35%. Now normally, I'm not going to do this today for the video, but normally what I do is I run that 10 minute 35% and I will do a bulk amount of troops at the one time, particularly if there's an event on around troop training. So I'll make sure I save up some of my time boosts, and I'll make sure I've got the right hero set. I'll hit the 35% training boost, and then I start my training for 10 minutes and I'll bulk grow my troops. So here now it's down to 5 days and 10 hours, which is not too shabby for 30,000 troops. So if I click train, I can hit my boost. Don't know what boost I've got actually. Ooh, let's see. So I've got 24 hour, drop it down, and then you guys are all familiar with this, so I'm just going to speed through this bit. .30,000 troops built, and then I'm going to go back in and I'm going to set another one running. I'm not going to do any more for the purpose of this video, but normally I'll spend oh god, normally I spend the full 10 minutes doing my troops, and then once there's maybe a minute or something left in that, I'll leave 30,000 troops just running and building. Sorry, this is very boring for you. So look. I'm very, very mean with my boost as well, because I don't like to use a higher one than is necessary. It's the Scottish in me, I think. We're known for being tight. There we go. So I'm not even going to put a minute on that because I've only got 16 seconds. Okay, so you get the point. So this is why it is vital that you make sure that you put your boost on, because, and this is, I think, this is what Lady was talking about the other day. Are you putting your boosts on before you do your jobs and things, because it's critical and it saves you a huge amount of time. Because I've got that boost running just now, those have just finished, and my boosts are expensive, I'm going to just start this job, and I don't have enough wood or lumber, whatever you want to call it. Where's my lumber? There we go. Right, and then I'll just leave that running, because once that boost expires, that would go back up to over the week again. So I'll just leave that running just now. Okay, so the boosts we've covered so far were the resources and the development. Now, there's two other key ones here. There's the military ones and the hero ones. Let's have a look at the hero one first. So, for the purpose of this, I'm going to kill an Uber. So, I've finished with my development. I'm going to change my hero set back. And you'll see here I've got an invader one. Sorry, my system is running very slow. A bit like my brain. Okay, so my hero's changed to my invader set. I'm going to ditch Inga and put Ulf back. There he is. Okay, so I'm going to switch to global view. Now, because I'm in invader mode, all the equipment that I've got on that invader hero set is geared towards me getting reductions on my resource that is used for killing that Uber or any invader. So here I am here. Here's this Gepid or whatever the heck he's called. I'm going to click on him. And if you look, my normal attack now, with all my clothes and all my knowledge, is down to, I'm only losing 985 on a normal attack. However, on top of that, before I start hitting them, if I go in the hero and shaman, and this applies whether you're hitting a ghosty or whether you're hitting any invader or an Uber, you have a number of choices in here. Hero's offense, hero's experience, and shaman's experience, and I think there's a shaman's offense as well. I don't have anything in there. Those ones I think are quite hard to get, the shaman offense. I think you only actually get some of them in packs. I'm not entirely sure. If you look at the hero offense, I've got loads of those, so we must be getting them. I think perhaps when we're doing hits and things of the invaders, perhaps we get some of these in there. So you can see here, without me doing any extra effort, I can run this extra boost here. For an hour, I'm getting an increased 20% hero offense. Use this item to increase the hero's offense when attacking invaders by 20% for 1 hour. Activate the item before starting an attack. Self-explanatory. You need to make sure that you hit this, have it running before you start your attacks. So I'm now, for no extra effort, I'm getting an extra 20% oomph on my hit. So if I go into this, and although it still says 985, each critical hit that I do now is an extra 20% oomph behind that. So I'm actually killing him faster. So he's down to 99.16. I'm sure most of you know this, but in case you don't, let's go back and hit it again. Now, I hate when I'm killing Ubers because I do them all in the one, so I don't like the window to close. So I take this wee tick box off here, close the window after sending the hero, because I like to see it. So if I now say normal attack, look what happens here. This next attack bonus went from 15% to 30%, and the time left is 59 minutes. So you have an hour for your next attack bonus. What that means is that if you get that attack bonus up to its maximum, then you can use the enhanced attack. If you use the enhanced attack at the plus 30%, what that means is you are only doing a bulk load of attacks at 30%. It doesn't get stronger each time. So watch this. As I hit the normal attack again, that's going to go up to 45. And it depends on the knowledge of your hero how high you can get your next attack bonus. So don't ever hit the enhanced attack until you know for sure that this is stop building. It's not going any higher. And you'll get it way above 45%. And you see it climbing, 75%. I'm going to skip this bit because it's going to be extremely boring for you. Okay, so it's at 570, so it's maxed out at 570. I think Chief and the legend that is Sensei, I think they have it over 600%. I'm still working on my hero knowledge, so I'm not quite there yet. So now it's at the 570%, I would click the enhanced attack. Now before, because it's maxed out, like my attack bonus, which means it's going to do the maximum number of hits that it takes to kill it, the Uber or the Invader, at 570% attack bonus. Whereas if I'd done it at 30%, it would have taken a lot more hits, a lot more hero juice, and I wouldn't have been getting the maximum amount. So it's boring and it takes ages to build it up to the maximum amount for your attack bonus, but you're better doing it. Before I hit the enhanced attack, because of the situation that I'm in at the moment, I've taken the time, I've invested in killing my Uber, so before I hit that enhanced attack, I don't want someone else taking this before I get a chance to change my hero set into a defense hero set at the moment. So what I'm going to do, before I finalise my hit on it, I'm going to go into my town, I'm going to do a Wonder Woman, change my hero set, and I'm deliberately putting my defense gear on at this point. And that's because I'm going to be naughty and I'm going to load that tile. So I'm going to put my hero set and I'm going to change it. Defense. Okay, so this is my full Lynx defense gear. I'm going to apply. And you see I use my hero sets a lot. So now if I look at my hero, he's in full defense mode. Or she. Close that. And also, before I do it, I'm going to put a couple of boosts on. And you'll see why in a minute. So in my military, I am going to run some boosts. So I am going to put on a 10-minute enemy defense boost. I'm going to scroll down. I'm also going to put mirror offense on, 10-minute, 35% reduction. How you want to do this is up to you. I'm just demonstrating what I would do. I'm coming down and I'm going to put a fast marching speed on, and the reason for that is I'm planning on sending a large volume of troops, and anybody that's watching you can tell what type of troops and the volume of troops you're sending depending on the march speed. So obviously when you send a larger volume, it's slower for them to march. So I've just put a 250% boost on, which means they're not really going to have a full clue of what I've sent, if that makes any sense. It's kind of just throwing them off the scent a wee bit because I'm going to use this tile as a trap. I'm also going to change the number of warriors in a troop. I think I can send about 350, 400 in a troop at the moment, so I'm going to put a 10-minute troop enlargement. I don't need it any longer because once the troops are on the tiles, that's it. It doesn't send them back once this boost expires. It's just a 10-minute opportunity for me to send a larger troop base. So I'm going to apply that. I'm going to come out of there. And the last one I'm going to put on while I'm sitting on that tile is my troop defense. So I've got a number of them in here, but I'm actually just going to use the 1 hour increased defense at 30% because I'll probably be on the tile longer than 10 minutes or so, so I'm just going to use this one. So essentially what I've done is by putting my hero set on in defense mode, I've increased my amount of troops that I can send, and I've also increased, using one of the boosts, my defense as well. So now I'm going to switch back, got all these boosts running, go back in the global, I'm going to finish this bad boy off. Right, we're going to kill him now. I've still got, because I'm within the hour, but you can see it's 55 minutes. So I'd have another 55 minutes before this went back down to zero, the 570%. I'm going to click the enhance attack and kill that bad boy. And then I've got to be on it like a ninja, because Iris will be jumping on that tile like you would not believe. So now I'm going to take my tile. It's my tile, goddammit. Let's get on it. Capture it. Ooh, it's a yummy food one. And because I'm baiting, I am going to put T3 on this. Anytime this week, laptop. Oh my god. There we go. So my T3 is maxed out. My knowledge on my T3 is completely maxed out, so I'm going to use them. Here's my, and I can send now, because I've put my boost on, I can send 753,000. Good luck with that. And because I've got the speed boost on, those bad boys were in there quicker than a blink of an eye. So anybody that was kind of just paying attention and wondering, you know, what I've sent, or just kind of, you know, what am I going to send there, they're just going to assume I've just sent probably 100,000 T1. So you can see the value of having those boosts. It's not cost me any extra, and I'm getting maximum value out of my game at the moment. I think that probably pretty much covers most of the boosts. You've got a little bit of trap in there as well, a little bit about the hero sets. Any questions, or if you want to see any other videos, just let us know.